The moment a woman stops living for approval, she begins living with direction. Pompeius, there is a version of you that has been waiting for permission. Permission to speak. Permission to change. Permission to leave what no longer serves you. Permission to become ambitious, disciplined, confident, and different. But here is the truth. The world rarely gives permission to the woman who decides to become extraordinary. You have to give it to yourself. Blands. For too long, many women learn to measure their decisions through the reactions of others. Will they understand me? Will they like me? Will they think I am selfish? Will they approve of my choices? And slowly, without realizing it, a woman can build an entire life around avoiding disappointment in other people. But purpose asks a different question, not what will they think, but what is this life asking me to become? That question changes everything. Blands, when you choose purpose over approval, you stop allowing other people's expectations to become the blueprint for your future. You understand that their opinions may be loud, but they do not have to become your direction. People can love you and still misunderstand your journey. People can care about you and still disagree with your decisions. And sometimes the people around you are comfortable with the old version of you because the old version was easier for them to understand. But growth changes the equation. You begin setting standards that others may not understand. You begin saying no without writing an entire explanation. You begin protecting your time because you finally recognize that your attention is part of your life. You stop chasing conversations that leave you exhausted. You stop shrinking your dreams so other people can feel comfortable standing beside you. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming clear. There is a tremendous difference between being selfish and having direction. Selfishness says, only I matter. Purpose says, my life matters, and I have a responsibility to use it well. A woman who understands her purpose doesn't need everyone to agree with her. She listens, she learns, she considers advice. But she makes her final decisions from conviction rather than fear, and that requires courage. Because approval feels good in the moment, purpose often requires patience. Approval can give you immediate applause. Purpose may require years of quiet work before anyone notices what you are building. That is why so many people abandon their purpose. They mistake silence for failure. They don't see the hours you spend learning. They don't see the discipline behind your confidence. They don't see the sacrifices behind your progress. They only see the finished result. So you have to become willing to continue before the applause arrives. There will be moments when choosing yourself feels uncomfortable. There will be moments when someone calls you different, distant, difficult, or changed. Maybe you have changed. Maybe that is the point. But you were never meant to remain the same person simply because someone else preferred the version they already knew. Your purpose may require a new level of discipline. It may require you to outgrow certain habits, environments, relationships, and beliefs. And every time you choose what matters over what is popular, you strengthen your identity. Eventually, something powerful happens. You stop asking whether everyone approves of you. You start asking whether you respect yourself. That question becomes your compass. Because at the end of your life, you will not live inside other people's opinions. You will live with the consequences of your own choices. You will remember the opportunities you pursued, the boundaries you protected, the dreams you honored, and the moments when you had the courage to become more. And so choose purpose. Choose the dream that keeps calling you forward. Choose the standards that make you proud of who you are becoming. Choose the path that may not receive immediate applause, but gives your life meaning. You do not need everyone to understand your journey. You need to understand why you are walking it. And once your purpose becomes stronger than your need for approval, you become very difficult to control because your direction no longer depends on someone else's permission. A woman who protects her peace stops giving everyone access to the parts of her life that took years to rebuild. There comes a point in a woman's life when she realizes that peace is not something she finds after everything becomes perfect. Peace is something she chooses while life is still complicated. She stops waiting for everyone to understand her. She stops trying to win every argument. She stops explaining herself to people who have already decided to misunderstand her. And most importantly, she stops confusing constant emotional struggle with a meaningful life. And protecting your peace does not mean running away from every difficult situation. It means learning the difference between a challenge that helps you grow and a situation that repeatedly drains your strength. Manjas, some battles deserve your energy, others deserve your silence. That distinction can change your entire life. Bands there are people who will test your patience simply because they know you will react. They know which words will hurt you. They know which subjects will make you defensive. They know how to pull you into conversations that leave you emotionally exhausted. Phalanges. But when you learn to protect your peace, you stop handing people the remote control to your emotions. Then you begin to pause, you breathe, you think, and then you choose your response. That pause is powerful. Bland, because not every message requires an answer. Not every accusation requires a defense. Not every misunderstanding requires a long explanation. Not every person deserves unlimited access to your attention. Sometimes the strongest response is simply refusing to participate. Being a peaceful woman understands that boundaries are not punishments. They are instructions for how she expects to be treated. Jen, she can love someone and still create distance. She can forgive someone and still refuse to repeat the same experience. She can wish someone well and still understand that they no longer belong in her inner circle. That is maturity. Palengid, you do not have to hate someone to stop giving them access to you. You do not have to create drama to create distance. You do not have to announce every boundary. Bleen, sometimes you simply become unavailable for what destroys your peace, and this is where your life begins to change. Band, you become more intentional with your conversations, more selective with your relationships, more protective of your time. Blendia, more disciplined with your attention. You begin noticing how certain environments affect your mind. You notice which conversations inspire you and which ones leave you questioning your worth. You notice who celebrates your growth and who becomes uncomfortable whenever you become stronger. Pay attention. Blands your peace often reveals what your emotions were previously trying to hide. Sometimes you are exhausted not because life is too difficult, but because you are constantly trying to maintain relationships that require you to abandon yourself. You keep explaining, you keep forgiving, you keep giving chances. Bands, you keep hoping someone will finally become the person you need them to be. And eventually you realize that peace begins when you stop trying to control what you cannot control. Bands, you cannot control how people behave. You cannot control what people say about you. Bands, you cannot control whether someone understands your intentions, but you can control what you entertain. And you can control what you tolerate. You can control where you place your attention. Lenja, you can control whether you respond from anger or from wisdom. That is your power. Mand, protecting your peace also means protecting the relationship you have with yourself. Give yourself quiet moments. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself space to think without outside noise. Give yourself time to recover from seasons that demanded more from you than you were prepared to give. Band, you do not always need to be productive. You do not always need to be available. Bland it. You do not always need to prove that you are strong. Sometimes strength looks like stepping back. Man, sometimes strength looks like saying no. Sometimes strength looks like leaving the conversation before it becomes disrespectful. And sometimes strength looks like choosing yourself without feeling guilty about it. So, amend your peace is not something you should sacrifice just to keep everyone else comfortable. The right people will not require you to destroy yourself to maintain the relationship. The right environment will not constantly make you question your worth. Believes the right path will challenge you, but it will not require you to betray who you are. And so protect your peace, protect your mind, protect your time, protect the woman you are becoming. Blend, because when you stop giving your energy to every distraction, You finally have enough energy to build the life you were meant to live. A strong woman does not waste her pain. She transforms every difficult chapter into wisdom that makes her harder to break. There are moments in life when pain feels like the end of the story. A betrayal can make you question your judgment. A rejection can make you question your worth. A failure can make you question whether you are capable of becoming the person you once imagined. But pain is not always here to destroy you. Dandium, sometimes it arrives carrying a lesson you could not have learned any other way. Blands. The difference is what you do with it. One woman allows pain to become her identity. Another allows pain to become her teacher. The second woman does not pretend that everything is fine. She feels the disappointment. She acknowledges the anger. She allows herself to grieve what was lost. But she refuses to build a permanent home inside a temporary season. She asks a different question. Bayan, what is this experience trying to teach me? That question creates transformation. Lan, maybe the betrayal taught her to pay attention to actions instead of promises. Maybe rejection taught her that someone's inability to recognize her value does not determine her value. Maybe failure taught her that one unsuccessful attempt does not define her potential. Maybe loneliness taught her the importance of becoming comfortable with her own company. Maybe losing someone taught her how precious her time really is. Pain becomes wisdom when you stop asking only, why did this happen to me? And begin asking, what can I learn from what happened? Because that shift changes your relationship with difficulty. You stop seeing every painful experience as proof that life is against you. You begin seeing challenges as information. They reveal your patterns, they reveal your boundaries, they reveal the people you trusted. They reveal the habits you need to change. They reveal the places where you still need to grow. And sometimes they reveal a strength you never knew existed. Think about everything you have survived that once convinced you that you would never be okay again. You are still here. That matters. You may not have walked away from every difficult season unchanged, but perhaps you were never supposed to. Some experiences are meant to change your standards. Some are meant to change your direction. Okay? Some are meant to change the way you see yourself. And some are meant to show you that you are capable of rebuilding. A wise woman does not romanticize suffering. She does not believe she needs to suffer to become valuable. She simply refuses to let unavoidable pain become meaningless. If someone disrespected her, she learns what disrespect looks like. If someone manipulated her, she learns to recognize manipulation sooner. She ignored her own boundaries. She learns to take her instincts seriously. If she made a mistake, she studies it instead of endlessly punishing herself for it. This is how emotional strength develops, not because she never gets hurt. Because she learns how to recover with greater awareness, wisdom is not knowing exactly what will happen tomorrow. And wisdom is knowing that whatever happens, you can respond with greater clarity than you had yesterday. Your past can become a prison, or it can become a classroom. The choice begins with how you interpret it. Okay, you can keep saying, I should have known better, or you can say, now I know better. And you can keep saying, I trusted the wrong person. Okay? Or you can say, now I understand what I need to look for. You can keep saying, I lost everything. Okay? Or you can say, now I know what truly matters. That is the language of transformation. Okay? Do not allow one painful chapter to convince you that the entire book is tragic. You are still writing, Hercansiers. There are relationships you have not experienced, opportunities you have not discovered, places you have not seen, and versions of yourself you have not yet met. Your pain may explain part of your story, but it does not have to control the ending wing. Take the lesson. Release the bitterness. Keep the wisdom. Move forward. Because the woman who learns from her pain carries something powerful into every new chapter. Experience without surrender. Boundaries without hatred. Compassion without weakness. And courage without the need to pretend she was never hurt. The woman who becomes comfortable growing alone discovers that solitude can become the place where her strongest identity is built. There comes a season in every woman's life when growth becomes more important than belonging. The people around her may remain the same, the environment may remain familiar, and the routines may continue exactly as they always have, but something inside her begins to change. She starts wanting more discipline, more meaning, more peace, more purpose. And suddenly the life that once felt comfortable begins to feel too small. This is where many people turn back, and they fear being misunderstood. They fear being left behind. They fear what others will say when they stop participating in the habits and conversations that once connected them. But a woman who understands growth learns something important. Not everyone is meant to walk every part of the journey with you. Sometimes you have to walk alone long enough to discover where you are actually going. But growing alone does not mean becoming isolated from the world. It means becoming secure enough within yourself that you do not need constant company to feel valuable. You can sit alone without feeling abandoned. You can make decisions without needing 10 people to approve them. Cornet, you can spend a weekend building your future instead of chasing